you think of the, did you get a chance to read the article?
I did.
What did you think of that?
It's something I've been seeing coming for a while. I mean,
I know you're living it.
I'm living it. Yeah, I have lived it. It's especially in the next decade. I think things are really going to deconstruct. I think it's going to be less of you are working for a particular company. You might be with an agency and they sound you out. That might be the stability factor. For some people, it just might be they just go on their own. You have to have a skill sets in high demand. So anybody that's in IT, or some design fields or media fields, they'll be in very high demand.
Yeah, it seems to emphasize less the job and more the skills, right?
More the person.
You're right, because it talked about the branding and the reputation.
Yeah, I mean, you basically are building a reputation that this person and obviously you embody a set of skills, but it basically speaks to this person is a type of person that's going to do well in this particular environment.
So this whole thing where the online marketplace has the ability to rank and rate and feedback and the like is going to, plus the ability to showcase what your talents are and your CV, right? All that stuff is going to play into that. And what's interesting is that there was one point I'm talking to you basically about some research that we were doing. Where there was one point that research was talking about the algorithm. You'll be given your assignments by algorithm.
Just like an Uber driver does. I mean, so they mentioned Uber. I mean,
yes.
That's what's going to happen. A basic algorithm will go out and it'll scan, whatever people are out there, and boop,
and pop up a reputation, and the customer has the idea to accept or reject that recommendation again by their score, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have your score. It's a very simplistic model in that case, right? Because there's not a lot of factors to consider. But in another, I was talking to my daughter about this last night as well, telling her to skill up rather than particularly look for a particular job, right? Build those skills, and then she will, and then build her reputation, her brand, and so importantly, and you are a king of this, your connections, right?
Connections are key. Again, and that's an old saying. It's not what you know, it's who you know. And that, a lot of what happened with this college scandal, these celebrities
yes.
who were paying big bucks, it wasn't that their kid really needed to go to school because they're doing well. It was more about them getting in a certain rank of society, a certain circle
status.
of connections.
Yeah, it's all about status.
Status, yeah, but they're going to be networking with people that and most chances they wouldn't. And even though I'm the son of this famous actress, it wasn't going to carry as much weight as I'm in Harvard and I know Joe and Jim and Mary and
right. Dude, it's basically the old boy network, right?
It's the old boy network.
But the thing is that the old boy network is going to be cut free. It's going to be liberated.
No, now it's being replaced by? It's being replaced by the programmers.
The programmer. Oh my gosh, I've never heard that term before.
The programmers.
Let me see if I can guess what that is.
Okay.
The programmers would be the buddy clicks of tech professionals.
Exactly.
That internetwork with one another.
Pretty much.
And you know what? Actually, that article talked about that. It gave the analogy of the entertainment industry, where it's hard to get into the guilds.
Yeah.
Right? But once you're in a guild, once you're in the Screen Makers Guild or the
Screen Actors
Guild or the Gaffers Guild
yeah.
or whatever it is,
Grip.
then Grips Guild, yeah. Whatever. There's all these guilds. Once you're in, you're going to get gigs,
Mm-hmm.
right? Is that what the bro?
Pretty much.
What do you call it? Bro-marking?
Programmers.
Are you?
But it's it's a mindset, and again and I hate to say it, it's male dominated, and they have this sort of. And you heard the sigh. It's just
yes.
it's just a certain type of thinking that it's very pack oriented,
mm-hmm.
and that's one of the things I like about Esprit. She runs this one podcast called Women in Tech.
I was thinking about that as you were talking. Yeah.
And women already have to like. Did you say this yesterday? If no, where did I hear this?
I think I know exactly what you're talking about. Was
so
it the
if
one
you're
about
a woman, you have to work harder. If you're black, you have to be better. I know. It was one of I was having a conversation with a friend. I mean, it's just if you're a woman or a minority or something, you have to not only be as good as the person, you have to be better than.
Mm-hmm.
You really have to shine to overcome this mentality.
So the programmer is that network that you have settled. It's what's coming next in place of having a career.
It's here.
A job.
It's
right?
here.
Oh, it's here. But it's instead of having, for example, working where we work, where once you're in pretty much set for life, right? It's kind of like this next thing. But in this marketplace, if you're one of the guys, you have a much better chance.
Absolutely. I mean, you're gonna have a lot more opportunities thrown to you, and at some point, with the compensation that they get, they basically and they're smart. And don't get me wrong, they're not stupid, and they work hard. They will achieve a certain level of financial independence that they could literally choose what they want to do.
So isn't that simply natural selection in action in a way? You know, the fittest being selected for and rewarded.
Absolutely.
With success.
I mean, you know, and now it's not based on strength. Now it's based on intellect and the ability to understand which are the developing opportunities and bet well.
That's true. And I'm just to be clear, I am not. Although I agree, I recognize that idea of survival of the fittest seems to work in nature. I would not want to live in a society that operates that way.
But
right?
we are living in a society.
We are, but we have to have a human element as well. We can't be, you know, just running through the weak, you know, discarding the weakest by the side. So we have to find a way to be better than that, right?
Yeah, yes. I think what the model that a lot of people would like to adopt is that you don't throw the weakest by the side. You basically get the weakest up to a point where they get strengthened.
Yes.
So you give them an education, you give them a leg up. I mean, it's not a handout. It's a hand up.
I agree, and I believe, and that's.
And one of the things that's happened is that because of this huge schism that's happened with the economy, you have 8 people that have half the world's wealth.
Yes, red flag.
Half the world's wealth. Now, Jeff Bezos just turned around and sprung for a bunch of electric vehicles. Mm-hmm. Warren Buffett, I believe, is going to be devoting, and Bill Gates are basically already doing philanthropic work. So there's a give back there. I don't want to discount that.
Right.
But what has happened is, in cities like San Francisco, is that it's gotten so skewed that you go into a restaurant and there are no waiters. Because the people that would be doing that type of work can't afford to live anywhere nearby that restaurant. It's gotten
How does a restaurant like that work?
Well, that's the point. So this is how it's catching up. So how do you make that adjustment? Where do these adjustments take place? I mean, I'm all for people thriving. I'm all for, but there has to be, you know, you have to bring the bottom up with you. You just can't like have it split. Otherwise, you end up having a repeat of the 1700s, and people, the aristocrats being marched out to the guillotine. I mean, they're
that's right. Yeah, pitchforks and torches.
Mm-hmm.
But that's exactly one of the things that article talked about was the need for the haves to look at ways to develop infrastructure within the community to provide that security base that for example, you and I with our nice corporate jobs won't have in the gig economy.
Okay, so
right?
in the gig economy, there's opportunities for people that don't have the high education, and the next level that I look at are the skills. Mm-hmm. So they're the trades. So it's kind of like the trade guilds they used to be.
Yeah.
So you have the plumbers, carpenters, electricians.
Yep. Plumbers
repairs.
don't have a steady paycheck. Yeah. Plumbers have a gig. It's one gig after another.
One gig after another, but I got news for you. They're never out of work.
So what you're saying is that it basically, that's a model that we have accepted for millennia. The idea of a tradesman, right? That a tradesman never guaranteed of a job, but always puts bacon on the table.
But the new trades that are coming up, that you have the traditional ones that I just mentioned, but the new ones coming up are going to be the electronics repair, the robotics repair. Mm-hmm. The people that come out and will troubleshoot systems, aircraft mechanics, auto mechanics are going to shift. I think there was, GM just had a strike because in shifting to electric vehicles, they're going from a car that had 20, from 2,000 moving parts to 20.
Yeah.
So that's going to ripple through the
Oh, the
whole.
whole infrastructure supply chain, yeah.
All that's going to change. So, but people have to adapt. So where do they go? Instead of being a factory worker, tool up, get your skill.
And there will always be those who will not, right? I once had a professor, an ecology professor. We were at the edge of a dry lake in the desert, and we were looking at the way that the gradations of the plants changed, the salinity of the soil changed, right?
Interesting.
And it was until you got down to the salt playa where there was no life whatsoever. It was just this too saline soil, right? And there was this one point on the kind of on the outer edge there, and I had noticed this hole that went down, and there was clearly some rodent or something that lived down there. And I asked him, Professor Bixler, what lives down there? And he says, oh, that's a particular type of species of rodent that lives in this zone right here. And I said, now I was thinking about it. These salt playas, they have flash floods during the flash flood season, and the water will rise, right? And it will actually become a lake. And it's right on the edge. I said, what happens? I said, Professor Bixler, he says, it always lives right here. It eats these particular plants. It never goes any farther than its life zone. So what happens when the flash floods come? If the water rises to this level and floods the hole, what will they escape? He says, no, they just stay there and drown. And the reason that long story is there are those who will not tool up. There are those who will stay and drown, right? Witness the Midwest of America, where whole communities of lifestyle of the factory workers, the factory shuts down, they don't get up and move or tool up, right? They wait it out until they're
There
gone.
was that management book, Where's My Cheese or something.
Oh yeah, so Who Moved My Cheese?
Who Moved My Cheese, you know? And yeah, you're right. And you can't help people with that because they don't want to help themselves.
Right.
All right. So
you wait that generation out, right? They're kids. Maybe we'll. What happens? Well, we just.
You know, let's take what's happening with kids right now. When I observe my grandkids, they're 10 and 14, a lot of screen time. Now it's interesting what they watch. The 14-year-old boy will play a lot on video games. Okay. Now, there's one mindset of like that's what a waste of time, but not really, because on these video games, the big one that came out was a year ago, Fortnite. It teaches them to be resourceful. You basically have to think very quickly on your feet. Do I have a weapon? Is there a treasure? So there's this whole set of things that are going on. Their brains are being wired very differently than ours.
They're being wired for this economy, the new economy, where gigs opportunities and multiple opportunities are rising at the same time. And in a moment, within minutes, sometimes you have to discern which one am I going to go for that's going to yield the best results, right?
Exactly. The other thing that he does a lot of times, he'll watch basketball because he's a basketball player. So he's getting a lot of instruction in his interest. The girl will, she likes watching slime videos. They spend a lot of time on YouTube. They'll spend more time on YouTube than they will watching any type of streaming or channel TV.
What does she get out of the slime videos?
She just likes the texture of it and the formulas, and she likes to make them. And who knows where she's going to go with that?
Yeah.
But I guess where I'm going with this is that they're looking at things way differently than we are. I mean, that whole medium there's a kid on YouTube that I don't think he's even 10 or 12 years old, and he's already a millionaire several times over.
So I think that's pretty common with those that make it, that find their niche, right?
Yeah, they find a niche and they basically get a following, and you know, I hate to say it, you know, that's sort of the new thing for kids that I'll be an influencer on social media.
It's just replacing. I'll be a baseball player.
Be a baseball player, or I'll be the big drug dealer in the neighborhood. You know,
yes, that's right.
It's
always something.
So that's the quick get rich quick mentality. But there are other kids, and these are the ones you don't hear about. They're shy. You know, they're kind of on their own. They're soaking up inordinate amount of knowledge. Mm-hmm. And case in point is, as Spree mentioned, her mentor is a 19-year-old.
What?
See, right? 19-year-old. He's figured it out. He's made millions. He runs a mastermind group, and you know he's connected the dots. So the tools are there. You know, it's just a question of how you want to use them.
So that's interesting. Now, I guess we can close with this. So what are you doing with your grandchildren with this knowledge in mind? For example, me, I've got an 18-year-old daughter, and I spend a lot of time with her equivalent age boyfriend, and he's very ambitious. I think I mentioned before.
Right, yeah.
He's headed
Old
towards
school.
the old paradigm, right? And he's very ambitious, and I'm sure that the skills and the degrees and all the certifications he's going to get are going to do him well. But my daughter really doesn't know what she's going to do, and my message to her, simple, is skill up. Recognize where your native talents are. Recognize what I call them superpowers. What are your particular superpowers? And then build your brand, build your network, build your trust, and find your way through that. How about you? What are you thinking for your grandkids?
Well, for instance, for Noah, what I did was for his birthday, I bought him a stand for his iPhone and an app with a subscription called HomeCourt.ai. And what HomeCourt allows him to do is he sets up his camera, and it already sees where the basketball court is, and it helps him understand where his hot points are on the court, and it gives him a feedback loop so he can see how he shoots.
Oh, interesting.
He said already his free throwing has gotten much better.
So he's finding ways to leverage technology to improve
What he likes, which is basketball.
Yeah, and whatever that skill may be. I mean, I think you're absolutely right. For example, there is tremendous benefit in gaming. I'll just I don't want to interrupt, but how about your granddaughter?
For her, I encourage her to kind of explore that whole thing that she's got going on with the slime, because that could translate into a lot of different things. It could be she ends up being a culinary specialist or gets into chemistry. She also has an interest in gymnastics. So there's a lot of things, but I'm with you. I think it's more important to, instead of like go after degrees or anything, find whatever particular interest it is and just soak up what you can.
Absolutely. And augmenting it with the fact that you love it, witness slime, right? Whatever that might be, then that just only sweetens the deal, right?
Absolutely. And just that whole ikigai, that what you get paid for, what you love, what the world needs,
right,
and what you're good at.
Right.
And the intersection of all those is where you're going to do well in the next economies.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, let's finish with that one right now. And thank you. This is a really interesting chat. And
when aren't they?
What's that? When aren't they? Very good. I like that. All right. Thank you, Juan.
Yeah.